Honest conversations on a Friday. It's great. It's gloomy out here in Atlanta. Is the number game a lie? Something we were sold and just told to do instead of people who actually wanted to spend time and figuring out how to create extra value. I don't know. I was pitched that early on in my sales career, and I was drinking up the Kool-Aid, but now I have questions. We'll dive more into this in today's Fresh Start Friday. I'm reading today, discovering simple things, right? And even going to press into. Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in to another Fresh Start Friday. So the topic and the theme for today is really all about, is the number game a lie in sales, right? So this whole Fresh Start Friday really is a movement to reframe and challenge some of the conventional sales wisdom that we've gotten over years and some of the business development tactics that I was trained coming up. So quick story, right? So coming up as a kid, man, before I got married young too, before a lot of my boys. And one of the big things was, just go out and get as many numbers as possible. This whenever we were still doing it by like writing numbers on tears off of paper and pen and pad on back of people's hands. It was an interesting era. But with that being said, because there's one thing, there's one event that I remember we used to gear up for, was Penn Hills Picnic back in Pittsburgh. Anybody from that region should know what I'm talking about. And it was literally just go out and see how many contacts you can get. There was no extra value creation, no deepness of understanding what the person was into or what they like to do. We barely got their name proper, right? I mean, it was just about getting digits. A lot of times you got a lot of bad data with that as well. I think if we cross-checked any of that information, we a lot of mismatched names, a lot of shorted numbers. And we rarely ever contacted those people either, right? I don't know anybody that was really like, oh, I'm serious about this person from Penn Hills Picnic. It was just, it was all a game. It was all a numbers game. And so I fast forward to today, because as I, got married early, 26, most of my guys still weren't even married yet, weren't even thinking about being married, but I started to hone in on what I was looking for, right? And so that same phenomenon happened to all my boys as well. As they started to get serious about life and, having an actual spouse, having a partner, they started to really hone in on what they started to look for. And all their dates started to look the same. They were looking for certain people from certain demos or backgrounds or belief systems. And so it brings me to this number game conversation for today on this Fresh Start. So for anybody that's in a new business development role, I get and understand and appreciate why you would say, man, numbers games is where it's at. I have to play the numbers. I got to go about figuring out how I can get in front of the most people. Because even if, I stumble and fumble my way through a script, I'll get in front of somebody. That was my story for my first B2B sales jobs, where I made like 75 to 100 calls a day. And I was just mumbling around and spewing up garbage and messing up scripts and not even trying to figure out who they were or what they appreciated, or spending any time on LinkedIn to understand their role better. Just purely mass contacts was all it was about, right? And I bumped my way into a couple deals doing that. And I would argue it was great. It was a great training lesson. With that being said, as you mature, just like as you mature with your dating process, you start to hone in. And I think that with today's tools, I think it's a losing strategy to really try to go out and try to compete with technology that's out there, like Connect and Sell, where they're doing, 4 to 1. So for every one call you make, they're probably making 4, because they're using bots and people overseas to, just wait till they get people on the line to plug you in. I mean, how do you compete with that? So I think it's a better play for all my startups and people on the front lines of new business development, or just appointment setters, whatever your role is to think about how you can carve out some time to really add more value. And this gets into the meat of the conversation, and I'll wrap up here. Well, if you believe in kind of what Deb Culver talks about, where value creation is inherently personable, then you have to also take the same stance of, you got to slow down to understand the person to create value, because value definitely changes. It varies depending on people, the buyer's priority at the time. I mean, what's motivating them personally in their life. I mean, even understanding exactly why they're even looking at your product over the other ones, right? And that just takes being human. And I think that's one of the most valuable things we can do in today's selling world, is to humanize what we're doing, add in the technology, but slow it down so it allows you to be a more effective communicator, a more effective seller, and find out how you can add value to your customers. Because honestly, just like if you're dating, if someone's happy in their relationship, business or personal, they don't look around as much. So for people that are definitely into that idea of spending more time and making sure they have a lasting relationship that can be fruitful from a referral standpoint, or from even like if you're doing a subscription type model where, month to month you're on the hook, man, finding out how you can add value is one of the most effective things and the smartest things that we can do with our time as sales professionals. All right, with that said, I'm out. Thank you so much for joining this Fresh Stop Friday. Go over to joelemon.co if you want to jump on the actual newsletter. I do these every Friday and try to pump out a different way that we could reframe going about building business and selling in today's wild, wild world. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. We'll get back to these great guys in Atlanta.